we've installed the Linux distribution after some interesting errors, and finally we've got a VNC viewer open to our actual Linux distribution. Now, let's try and make this a little bit easier to use since we're on a tablet screen and everything's kind of tiny. So what we're going to do is we're going to go home, and the first thing I like to do is make the commands easier to work with, because one thing you're going to have to get used to if you install Linux and Android like this, you're going to have to get used to working with Termux while you work in the actual Linux environment, which is totally fine. Now, it does get a little bit easier when you're rooted, and let me show you why. So first, let's open another session in Termux, which we can easily do, and what this will show us is everything that's been installed. So currently, we are running Linux out of this Debian file system situation over here, and let's just go in there. So let's list again. So let's change directory into the Debian file system. All right, we've got home, media, opt, root. Okay, so what's interesting is that I didn't have to set up a user account, so I'm assuming we're root. So let's just check who am I inside of here. And let's see, can I make this bigger? See, control. No. So before I do anything, I just want to make this. Oh, interesting. Okay, that was working good. Let's edit the preferences. First, let's increase the font because that's just too tiny. Let's go to like 22. I like 22. Select. Oh yeah, there we go. Now we can see it. And we'll stop like that for now. So to do that, all I did was edit and then preferences. And then you just go over here to appearance and you choose this font right over here. So what we're going to do is close that, and now that we can kind of see it a little bit better, we'll go ahead and maximize this. Let's see. So I am root at localhost. So if you do the whoami command, you can actually find out what user you are. What's important is that we're root. So let's go back to Termux. That means all of our files are going to be in the root folder. So let's change directory into the root folder. And what's in here? So there's our desktop, our documents, our downloads, our music, our pictures. Okay, so this is important because if let's go ahead and just do something really basic. Let's create a note. So let's see, I think we should at least have accessories. And I'll try and make this bigger in just a minute, but first I just want to do an example. All right, so we'll just call this test note. Yeah, this is a note. All right, so I've got a note. Let's go ahead and save that to our documents folder. I like to keep things organized, so we'll make a nice little folder. I know this is tiny. Let's see, new folder, we'll call it notes, accept, and we'll just call this test underscore note.txt for text. All right, so now we've got test note, and that's living nicely inside of our little Linux environment. So how do we access test note? So one way we can do it is we can do it through Termux. So let's go ahead and list everything in the root folder. So we've got documents download. So I believe we put it in documents. So let's change directory to documents. And what we should see is our notes folder that we just created. That's fantastic. So let's go into there. And we have our test note.txt. So let's run cat, which gives us some information on the file. And we're just gonna, I think this will actually list the contents of the file. Yeah, so that actually tells us what's inside here. So yeah, this is a note. That's the note we just created. So that's great. We've got this file going on and it's in the Linux environment, but how do we actually get access to it? Well, let me show you two ways we can do that. So if you're rooted, what you can do is cheat. And what I'm going to do is use a app called Root Explorer, which is great for browsing rooted directories. So let's see, we're in root. So let me show you where this is actually located, this folder right here. So let's actually go back to the home directory because that's going to be important. So this is the home directory in Termux. What we're looking for is to find this in Android. So we've got all this stuff in here. That's what we should see. So let's go into Root Explorer. Let's make that big. So where is that? Well, every single app on Android gets its own data folder, which is going to be inside the data folder on the root directory of your SD card. So everything you're seeing in here is the root directory. This is all the stuff that makes your tablet run, all the extra files that you don't get access to if you're not rooted. But because I'm rooted, I have access. So let's just dig in here and find Termux. So there we go, here's the data folder. Then we're going to go to the data folder again. And what you're going to see is a bunch of app names. So every app gets its own data folder, which is based off usually the publisher name. So you usually do something like with Termux, they made it really simple. It's just com.termux, but like say I'm a company, I'll call myself App Maker, and let's say that's my website, appmaker.com, and I make an app. I make a tools app. So usually how it would be stored is you would have com.appmaker.tools. That's usually how it would be stored. Like if that was the name of the app, if it was the tools app made by AppMaker. So what we're looking for is a com.termux, and usually it's by the publisher. So like if Termux, I think it's made by Frederick Cornwall, usually on the App Store it'll have the name of the publisher. So a lot of times it would have been stored by like com.Frederick Cornwall, but in this case it's just com.termux. So let's go ahead and find com.termux. I know exactly where it is, so I'm just going to use this slide bar and just scroll all the way down to the bottom, and we're just going to look for yeah, there it is. Okay, so looking for TE, there it is. No, not here. Nope, a little more. There we go. Com.termux. So I installed a bunch of the other features, but here we go. This is the actual folder we want. This is where everything in the Termux app is actually going to live. So first, let's go in here. Then we have our files. So these are some other files that actually make the app work. We want to leave those alone. This is the actual folder. This is files. And then, okay, a little bit more. Home. This is the actual folder. My bad. And this, plus a little bit more, is everything that's actually in our home directory. So it looks a little unfamiliar right now, but I'm going to show you that they're actually identical by just running the ls-a command, which shows everything. Alright, so we've got .config.whoami.csh, we've got wget host, we've got zcompdump. Let's see if we've got that same stuff over here. Yeah, we've got zcompdump, wget.host, whoami.csh, we've got some directories, so that's everything. So, what does this mean? Because I have access to the folder through an app, I can easily navigate into the Debian file system. I can go straight to the root folder. I can access the documents folder, which is a little further down, and then I can go to the notes folder, which I created, and there's our test note, and I can open it right now in Root Explorer, or I can open it in an app of my choice. I can just click share, I think. Let's see, view as text, and let's do open with. Select apps. This is really great feature of Root Explorer because you can like choose which app you want. And I'm just doing this to show you like how to bring stuff out of the Linux environment and then open it inside apps that you use normally. So I believe I have a text viewer app on here. Just open text files, and there we go. Okay, that's fine. Okay, so this is actually open to something else. Didn't actually open the file. Let's see. Now, sometimes you will have to copy stuff into your, like a directory, a normal directory. So let's actually do that. Let's go to internal storage. So your internal storage is here. At root, you go to storage, and then you go to emulated, and you go to 0, and that's going to be your internal storage. So what I'm going to do is copy this notes text into my documents folder on my internal storage, just to mitigate any issues with like opening files, because some apps are a little finicky when you open stuff straight out of root. So let's just go back to mix, if I can find that. Alright, mix. So what we're going to do is we're going to open that up in documents. And, okay, cancel. Alright, and then we get some more options to open up this text file. We're just going to open up in the mix text editor just to show you. So here we go. Yeah, this is a note. We just created that in the Linux environment. So I have direct access when I'm rooted. But I would assume most people are not rooted, and I totally understand that rooting can be difficult. As I found with this particular tablet, it was very difficult. And because Samsung recently updated the software, I didn't have a backup to go back to, so I had to rebuild everything from scratch. So let's say you're not rooted. What we can do is we can create some scripts to make everything easier. So, first things first. Every time we run the Linux distribution, we have to type in this start debian.sh command. I don't want to do that, so let's create a script. What we can do is just create a file. I think nano comes installed, and we're just going to call it Debian. Okay, great. So we've got this file, and now we want it to actually run the command. So what we're going to do is we're going to do, I believe it's /, or actually what we can do is do a two-part command. So let's say you change the system like I had to do, and you have to move these files around. If you want this command to run no matter what we can do is change directory into the actual directory of where the script is, and then just run the script, which is what I highly recommend doing when you're doing a command like this, because this will make the command reusable. So what we're going to do is first, and that's important because if you run this script in a different directory, it won't actually work. So we want this script to actually be in the right directory. That's important because of the way things are being done with Linux being inside of Termux, which is inside of Android. So to make sure that this command works every single time, let's change directory into our home directory. So I just showed you that inside of root commander, and what we can actually do, oh, nope. What we can do is, now that we're in the home directory, we can copy this. So that's nice and copied. And then what we can do is cd, and then let's just do long click, paste. All right, so this is the actual directory on our tablet of where we want to go, and that'll take us into the Termux home directory. Perfect. So that's the first part of this command. Then what we want to do is run the start debian.sh command. All right, and I'm going to show you that this is working in just a sec. My bad, I didn't show you how to save that. So let's open that again. All right, so I'm just going to add a space here just to show you what to do. So in order to save it with nano, you just do Control X. I'm assuming you have a keyboard. And then we're going to press Y to save modified buffer, which basically means the file has been modified. I'm going to click no in this case just because everything's fine. Or no, do Y just to show you. So Y, save the modified buffer. Then it's going to ask you the file name to write. This is when you would actually be able to edit the file name again if you wanted to, and I could save it as like Debian underscore edit. There we go. And then you just do enter, and it'll ask you if you want to save it under a different file name, and you do yes. If I had saved it under the same file name, it would have just exited. In fact, I can show you that. Oh, my bad. Control X. Yeah, if you open an empty file by accident, just do Control X to exit. So I'm going to do nano Debian, and I'm going to do Control, I'm going to add the space mark. There we go, Control X. Save the modified buffer, file name to write. So because I didn't change the file name when I press enter, it's just going to go right back to the file system. So before we do this, let's actually close down our Linux distro. Let's just close this. You don't actually have to close everything in here. I'm just cleaning it up to make it easier for myself. We're going to do disconnect out of VNC. We're going to go back to Termux, and then we're going to do VNC Server -stop. That'll actually stop the server, and then what we can do is exit, and that will end our Linux distribution. Now sometimes it doesn't exit cleanly, and that's perfectly fine. What we can do is just kill this session. So what we're going to do is we're going to make this script we just made executable. So let's just list everything in our home folder. All right, so we've got that Debian file we just created, and we're going to do chmod +x, and this basically changes like the mode of a file. So we're going to do plus and then little x, and then we're going to type in the file name we just created. So what that's going to do is make it executable. Now, you can't really see it with this particular theme, but it got a little tiny bit brighter green. That means it's executable. So let's go ahead and type in Debian. Oh, I mean, you have to do // my bad, / Debian. All right, and we've started our Linux environment in a different session in Termux. So let's go ahead and exit. That was just to prove that it was working. Now, I don't want to type in / every time. I just want to type in Debian. How do we do that? Well, in order to do that, we have two ways of doing it. Now, because I'm rooted, what I can do is literally just navigate into the actual home folder again. Let's just refresh. So that Debian file we just created is here again. So what I'm going to do, or what I can do, is literally navigate to the bin folder, which is one folder up. Let's go, wait, no, let's go. Okay, so the home folder for Termux is data. Then we're going to go to data again. Then we're going to scroll all the way down to com.termux. No, not don't refresh. Okay. com.termux. There we go, a little bit. There we go. And then we're going to go to files. So the bin folder is actually in the user folder, which is above the home folder that we're in. And I'll show you how to navigate to that in Termux. And what I could do is actually just copy it in here, and then I'd be set. So this is actually going to list a whole lot of files. And that's going to take a moment. Let's see if I can go back. Well, I can go back, good. All right, so that's the cheat way to do it. But not cheat, but like the quick way to do it if you're rooted. Let's say you're not rooted. What you would do is you would navigate above, to go to a directory above, you do cd ... All right, so now we're in files. So now we should see the user folder. So let's navigate into user, and then bin folder. So here's what we want to do. We're no home directory, but we still have everything listed in the home directory. So in order to copy a file to another folder, if you're already in the directory you want it to be in, then all you need to do is know the directory of where the original file was, which means we have to type in the full directory. So let's do that. We're going to use the cp command, which is the copy command. We're going to start at the root directory. That is the first directory that every file starts in for your device. We know that the home folder for Termux is at data/com.termux. We know that our home directory inside the Termux app is in files/home, and we know that the file we just created is called Debian. What we want to do is copy that into the bin folder. So we're going to type in space to separate the parameters for the command, and then we're going to type in bin. All right, so if it runs without issue, I believe that works. Unfortunately, you don't get like a loading screen to show you that things worked inside the command line, but that's okay. So what we're going to do now is you're going to navigate back to our home directory. And now, if we did things right and that executable file has been copied successfully to our bin folder, we should just be able to type in Debian and run our Linux environment. And we can. So let's type exit, and then I'll show you some more file system management, ease of access things we can do from the command line in Termux.